welcome to Flory Models. I'm Philip Flory. Today's kit review, we've got the new Bandai 1/48 scale X-Wing fighter. This is the motion edition, or the lights and sound version. A little bit of history. Basically, over the last few months, we've been seeing great releases from Bandai. We were all a little bit worried when they were handed the torch, so to speak, from Lucas and Disney from Fine Molds, because obviously Fine Molds did fantastic kits. Bandai, known very well for the Gundam range, things like that, for great quality kits, but not perhaps necessarily as sharp. Anyway, lo and behold, the 1/72 version came out a few months ago, and I built this one over a month ago now and absolutely fell in love with the kit. Now, when they were all first being released and coming out, there was one on the stand that was moving, and a lot of people were like, well, you know, what's that? Is that a special edition one or something that's been done? Actually, it's the full kit, okay? It looks like there's going to be two versions of this. This is the moving edition. That looks like they're going to do a standard edition, which doesn't come with the LEDs, the motors for the wings and the sound system and the rest of it. It's going to be a standalone version. As you can see, this is still bagged. It cost me £41 from Hobbylink Japan. To be honest, yes, I did get stung a little bit by customs when it was coming into the UK, but it is still brand new and sealed in a box. So we're just going to poof this open a little bit so we can get in. So, as you can see, beautiful box art. I must admit, all of the box arts have been really second to none. They have been very, very nice. So just having a look around it, we can see what we can expect here on the back. Obviously, we've got various items showing the lighting system and everything else like that. And we've got the one on the side, okay, and then on to the other side. So it's showing the crew figure and all the rest of the bits and pieces down in there. Saying it looks like you're going to need 3, I reckon they're going to be AAA batteries in there and everything else like that. The only thing I can't see is a kit number. There we go. No, it doesn't look like there's actually a kit number on here. Well, not that I can see in English anyway. So, having a look in the box, peel the lid off. It's like an iPhone when you take the lid off. So, straight off the bat, as you can see, we've got quite a stuffed system in here. So what we've actually got is various screws the same way. We'll look at all of these in a moment. Okay, and having built the 48 version, it'll be quite interesting to see how these two stack up against each other. So if we just start in the manual first, and we can zoom some of the cameras in, get ourselves set up. So last time it was like a giant sheet. Same thing. Looking down here, we can see we're going to get a motor unit, which obviously got the LEDs all built into it and everything else like that. The stand system, and obviously that's where your power is going to come from, and the audio. Okay, and then we've got the sprue call outs, which just looking at it look almost identical, with a few changes to actually the 1/72. So it doesn't look like it's a million miles away. A little bit obviously about construction of the kit we know about anyway, talking about actually making up the base and how it's going to actually fit to it. So you can either have it, you know, literally a standalone on the base or on the ground, okay? So you do have the different versions of it, okay? So, generally, first off, it's talking about obviously putting in the mounting unit, obviously how it's going to fit in and all the rest of it. Looks like you've got to do a little bit of work to put it all together. Putting the batteries in, which as I say, I'll check the sizes for you. Putting the plate back together. Then you actually mount the actual system to the unit, okay? So that's why you're talking about which version you want to do first, okay? So this is obviously the motion version, so you're going to be putting this together, and then it's saying about testing the unit to make sure it's all flashing and doing all its bits and pieces, obviously before you continue, making sure that the foils open and close, and then remove it from the box, okay? So it is going to be a standalone unit. Okay, so the power system is going to fit into the top. So obviously checking it as you go through, installing the LEDs into the correct locations, making its way on the main fuselage part of the X-Wing itself. Okay, and feeding these cables and getting them all connected up into the instrument panels, all those areas into the proton torpedoes. Okay, as we're making our way through, and then making in there. So crew figure going in, the system being in, the cockpit fitting in, the side panels going in, the front panels on. See, this is exactly the same as the 72nd version. Okay, so these parts going in slightly different on the top ones, admittedly, okay, but generally going in very similar the way these all going in, front in, and again, it's all a click fit, all right? So that means really you can probably get away without glue. Two types of canopy, exactly like the last one, so you can either have it glazed or unglazed if you want to be more realistic, or put the inside part in, okay, so you've got your choice there. R2 unit going in the back, and then obviously if you're doing it display model, you're going to be having gear up. You've got the rear plates going in. Okay, mounting it onto the stand, again checking the S-walls by the looks of it, making sure they open and close correctly before moving on with the full wing assemblies, and then obviously putting in the laser cannons onto the wingtips, and then mounting those wingtips. Engines going on, feeding through those LEDs so you can actually get the engines to glow as well, which is a very nice touch with these. So all of those going through, and then it's going to be rinse and repeat again for all the other wings, okay, which is basically what they're talking about. All right, then a case of mounting them on, feeding through the cables, talking about that. Obviously it's going to take a little bit of time to get those correct and out of the way, and also covering the actual ends with the bulbs. Okay, fitting all of those, again they're all a very nice click fit, making your way through up through the bottom, the plates in again for all the systems. The underside, depending obviously if you're going to have the gear, you know, obviously we're going to put it on a stand, but if you did want to put it actually down there, you could. All right, and then again just a case of drop mounting it down onto the top, adding the actual laser cannons themselves, and then running the system to making sure it open and closes. Obviously you can put the gear on if you wanted to, and then cover up the mounting holes. You have got the applied brackets to do all of that. Talking about if you are having it without the gear, with the gear and the crew figures, chances are they're going to be doubled up again, so you can have them separately. And then talking about which way it is, so you can do the different modes. I do know, I think if you hold down both together, you can get it going to demo mode and various things. There is plenty on the net about it, so if you wanted to look it up, there's videos about it. Decal placements, call outs and everything else like that, talking about the ones for the R2 units and the actual main units all over the X-Wing itself. Okay, to be honest, it's pretty close to actually this one. There is some obviously differences down there, but if you built this one, it's roughly going to go the same way. It looks like they've just upscaled the actual 1/72nd, which I still maintain is one of my all-time favourite ever kits to build. Okay, so let's have a look in the box. Okay, so we've got a couple more bits still in the box here which we want to look at and talk about. So we're not going to bother getting these out because we've seen them before. You get two types of sheets in here. You've got decals and stickers. Now the stickers aren't exactly brilliant, shall we say, but if you're a kid doing it, you want to get the kids into it especially, then let them go wild with the stickers, all right, and everything else. And I presume this is for the base unit for the actual parts sticking down on there, so you've got those as well, all right, but we know about those, they're very, very good. So in this gorgeous box we've got here, this is obviously, open the box, going to be our stand and our electronics. Okay, so this is our stand. I don't know if we've got anything else on the other end. Yes, we have. So we have more. There's another screw that's actually in there and screwed down. So this is our system for the S-foil motor, LEDs, and it could even be the sound. I don't know if the sound comes out the base. So there's our plug for plugging it in down there. This is our system for the motors, and these are our LEDs. These shorter white ones obviously are for the engines at the rear. Then we've got the cockpit one, and then I presume this one down here is going to be, actually I think that's the cockpit one. This will be the ones for the proton torpedoes as they're going down there. Alright, so that's the actual unit itself, the box of tricks if you like. So we're going to keep that somewhat safe. How exciting is that? Okay, now the stand, which does look like a joystick, I can go with that. Okay, that's our stand. Alright, so I'm not going to put it all together, but that is the size of the stand as you see it like that. So this is going to give you an idea of how big this thing's going to be. Okay, so down on there you've got all the dates for Bandai, LucasArts films, and all the bits and pieces that are going to go in there. This bit down here, which is extremely clever, I now know what it meant. These bits you're poking in here are the caps which are going to go up in. So if it's not on the stand, you can take them out of there and put them on. You don't lose them. How good is that? So that's our system. Obviously the bass will go in there later. You've got our on, off and our various sounds and everything else, and a protective cap, and then underneath there will be the plug-in unit, which obviously this guy is going to sit into. Okay, so that's very good. We'll just move that out of the way. All right, and as I say, the only other thing in the box is an actual couple of screws, mounting screws, putting it down and things like that. So in the bags, now this is totally different coloured from the 72nd version. The 72nd one was totally different for this. So here we go, sprue one down here. I have to say, now I'm looking at it, it's not the other, this is probably the master. That was a shrunk down version of this, because the detail on this is a lot better than on that, okay? In fact, looking at it, I'm probably going to have to say, just looking around it, yeah, I don't know, that's pretty close. I was going to say, they are different. It's not an upscale. This is a totally new tool, just because the supercharger down here, as we know, that's off of Mustang, is different. It's curved off. The one on there is a lot squarer. So this is totally new tool. It's not just an upscale. Okay, looking at the actual gear as well, I can tell that it's not like the original one. It's just very similar how it goes together. It's very cleverly done. So technically what you've got here is engines internals, okay, rear plates. This is the back part of the cockpit. This is where our instrument panel system is going to be. We've got the seat, okay, the very rear plate. So you can tell I've built one few of these now, okay, and all the rest of it as you're going through all the parts. So generally, as you can imagine, you know, there's no point even harping on. No flash, no mismolds, no problems. This is Bandai. They don't do things like that. If you haven't seen them before, this is very standard multi-injection colour parts going in. So they do one and then the next system stamped in, the next one and the next one as it makes its way through. The clear parts, I do have to say, are the crystallest clear parts I've ever seen. They are absolutely no distortion, even on height register, from the cutting mat. So I don't know if I can get this to come up. You can see there's nothing in there, no distortion whatsoever. So you've got your clear parts, you've got your white parts. These white parts are as good as anything that's painted. If you didn't want to paint it, you wouldn't have to, okay? This is our plate that's going to go on the base, so that's brilliant, and your red colours and everything else like that. Beautifully done. Next up, we've got the actual so I presume we've got the back engines there. This is the inner part from the engines. No, it's not. These are actually the laser cannons. What are you on about, Flory? That's it. Get it right. So I'm just working out if it was the same or not. It appears to be the same as the 172nd, the way it goes together. Okay, so you've got your laser cannons, the front, the rears to them. This is the landing gear bay, the front and rear part from the nozzles on the engine. These are the front, the intake ones, so the way they sell it forward. The get bay doors, these are the actual doors for the gear itself, the skid for the feet. This is the rear part of the engine, the little plates that go in the front, which on our guy are these guys down here, and everything else like that. So extremely similar to the original, and then this will just be a mirrored pair as per the original as well, okay? So the foils themselves, this is the actual X-Wings themselves. Okay, so again, lovely detail, very crisp, very nice. The actual checker plate that's down on these sides is absolutely beautifully done. The plate, this is the side for the fuselage, the nose system for the T65, and all the areas like that. No problem there at all. And then we've got the other system just here. Again, beautifully done, no problem with that whatsoever. Okay, and your last sprue. Okay, so you don't get tons of sprues in here, okay? So you've got, this is the base, this is what's going to sit on the actual bottom of the fuselage, just the nose wheel well. We've got the crew figure, so obviously we've got him sitting or standing, so you can have him there or you can have him there. This is his backside, okay, which is quite an interesting way of doing it. And everything else, this is the rear plate at the back, the X-Wing at the top here, and then obviously that's the rear, that's the front. No problems with any of that, beautifully done. The plastic as well is extremely high quality. Okay, last up, you've got the actual canopy. So multi-part, so one piece canopy down here, where you've got the front, and obviously you've got the top parts. We know we've got the other parts in there. The rear framing, okay, as it goes right the way through. All dated 2015 as well, so it does show it's bang up to date. So there we go. If you do want your X-Wing collection, then you can start here. The rumour mill is there's other versions of the X-Wing coming out. As we know, in the new film, there's a different version of it, or the later version of the X-Wing. It's a lot more compressed, flatter, speedier looking, and all the rest of it. There's a rumour going around that one's going to be coming out later in the year as well, in time for the films. So, you know, stay tuned for all these things. But definitely stay tuned. This is on my build list to do in the next few weeks.